Alright. Yeah, move this microphone up. Hobby time, but hopefully we can talk a lot about the thought process behind the army I'm about to run. Because I threw the list together on a whim. Don't know if it's going to be good or not. I'm assuming not. But it was the best way I could figure out how to use a lot of the models I had, which that's already like step one to knowing your list is probably not going to work. Is when the aim is about using models you have and like versus thinking about the way that the game actually works. So this will be interesting, I think. This will be very interesting. What's up, Phoenix? So right now my goal is to run the which detachment is this? Infernal Lance, which feels a lot more DPS output potential. I'm running a Castigator because he provides an aura of sustain 1. I'm running 3 Stalkers, 2 of which have the Slaughter Claws and 1 that has a Chainsword, which is more of a limit based on what I own than anything else. I'm also running 2 Carnivores because trade Carnivores tend to be really interesting to me. And then I am running 1 Huntsman because I kind of think a Huntsman will be good in the clutch. And then I'm running an Abominant because fishing for Dev Wounds is going to be pretty fun as well, I think. It's going to be very swingy. And then I decided to run a Tyrant. In my head, I think at some point I do want to purchase another Tyrant. I think at best I want another Tyrant and then the new Abominant box, which has the new model in it as well. Because I think my actual lists are going to usually involve double Tyrant. One Tyrant for backline, 1 Tyrant for frontline. I think the main reason is giving all of my little suits benefit of cover. You can't steal my nuts. Oh, yeah. If at any point my stream just cuts out, know that it's because it's storming like hell here. Or should be storming like hell here in a minute. And that could mean the power goes out, like it did last time. Where I sat here for hours doing nothing. What cut out? I'm still alive. Unless YouTube's freaking out with me. No. But yeah, I think Infernal Lance will end up being good. Infernal Lance has a lot of forethought, which that's probably... If I had more stuff, like if I had more Questoris class, if I had another Tyrant, maybe I would have gone like the full Big Knight list. Or I could have gone Trader Lance a little bit easier, I think. But the changes they made to Chaos Knights is really making me rethink some stuff. Like, Brigands I don't think are going to be anywhere near as useful as they were. Which, I mean, that's probably by design. I think stalkers are definitely the way to go. If your opponent is, if your target rather, I guess, if your target is further than 6 inches away from its allies, +1 to wound roll. That is so good. I put the Avenger chain cannons on those. Those things are just going to run at stuff that's not near its allies and just wipe them out. I gave my Abominant the ability to get Lance, because that would give Lance to 2 different weapons, as well as all of its weapons are hitting on 2s. I was thinking of giving that to the Castigator, but I ended up not doing it. The Castigator instead has Assault. He has Assault, and then if I trigger my enhancement, he gets the Ignore movement debuff function. But yeah, 3 stalkers, chain cannons. I think I have mostly the indirect fire backpacks. The only one that doesn't is the Huntsman, who has his melt-a-gun. We're going the long-range variant for the Tyrant. I think I gave the Tyrant... I think I gave him something. I need to look it up. The Tyrant got... Oh, +1... Oh, yeah, no, this was Dick. I remember this. The Tyrant got +1 toughness. He got +1 toughness, and I gave him the ability... When he pops his Fortitude, which is the Feel No Pain, if you hit him with a single damage attack, AP is reduced to that by 1. If you have any AP on it, I can pop my Feel No Pain and just reduce, in general, the incoming damage. But toughness 1 on a Tyrant makes him T13. So have fun with that, I guess. Pretty sure it makes him T13. Yep. T12 normal, T13. Shoot them all you want with your las cannons. So the idea I have is that the stalkers are going to need to move with the Castigator. When it's the go turn, I have to... The way Infernal Lance works, in my command phase, I empower everything that I want to actually utilize a function for. In movement... Actually, let me pull it up, because I need to really start to remember this. Because there's 4 stages. There's attacking, there's durability, there's maneuverability. And then there should be one more. Oh, no, there's 3 stages. It's just a lot of writing here. So they have to take a leadership check. If it fails its leadership check, it takes D3. Either way, it becomes empowered. It's kind of the same thing as the Chaos Space Marine Dark Pact. But you have to take it in your command phase. You can spend a command point to take it with 1 unit at any point in time, though. But on top of that, that system can only be used once per battle round. So you have to be very specific about it. But that allows you to empower something, use its empower, and then re-empower it for something else later. But if I pop it for maneuverability, I add 3 inches. Ugh. I add 3 inches to its move characteristic for normal, advance, and fallback. You can't do it for charge. That's not a thing there. If I want to do it for attacks, I get to select either lethal hits or sustain 1. And then if I want to do it for durability, I gain a 5+ invulnerable, which I know they all mostly have, but they don't get it in melee. This is a way to get that invulnerable in melee. And on top of that, you also get a feel no pain of 6. So an invulnerable and a feel no pain. And that's the whole concept of it is like, for my castigator, I would empower, move him up alongside all of the stalkers. And then if they all had a target to shoot at, all I need is the ability to just shoot at them. Like, there's really nothing else to add to this. And then it just becomes 3 stalkers with their Gatling guns and missile launchers firing at them, which I would all empower to do lethal, because if they're all within the 6-inch aura of the castigator, they also have sustained hits. So sustained and lethal are active. Go to the castigator, trigger him to have sustained, because he can't get sustained. So it depends, I guess. If it's a squad I'm shooting into, sustained. If it's a vehicle, lethal, which is always good, because he gets like 12 shots, and having lethal on top of that is nice, only to then go to twin linked on the wound rolls. It's just really good. Harbinger of Night, I have to remember the new system. First, third, and fifth turn, I have to select a buff. 9 times out of 10, first turn, I'm picking the -1 to hit outside of 18-inch range. If you're mostly melee and not a lot of good shooting, maybe I'll go with the forced battle shocks if you're lower than starting strength. I'm excited to play Knights, man. Not necessarily excited to play them at this tournament that's probably going to have, like, not great tables and very limited time to play. What's up, Soulway Studios? Just out here getting raided. Welcome in, welcome in. Hopefully you guys had a good stream. What's up, AQW? We're trying to finish up my Thousand Suns paint stuff while talking about Chaos Knights in preparation for a tournament this weekend. But yeah, welcome in. I have a list together. It's not the best. I kind of get what the best might be for some of the detachments, but I just don't have that many bodies. Like, who's got 14 War Dogs? Not this guy. No War Dog spam for me. Welcome in. Thanks for the follows. Hopefully you guys had, some fun. Working on any projects? Oh, yeah. I mean, blue is kind of my deal. Thousand Suns and all. It's Army Painter Crystal Blue, which there should be a bunch of variants of across the board for like Citadel and everything. But yeah, like blue's definitely something I enjoy on most anything. Nice. What's your plan for your Death Guard? Which detachment you're running, or are you just doing it to paint? At which point, what's the theming? You can make them nice and clean. You can go with the classic putrid green and brass. Toss some extra rot and decay on them. Get some texture pastes out there. All right, so I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something that might go really poorly. Let me give you guys some vision on my knife. So that's my Castigator. This is the list, basically. Castigator, he has... this is Infernal Lance. Castigator's getting the Assault upgrade for it. This is my Huntsman. Then we've got the Abominant. Because fishing for those mortals is going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. Carnivore, of course. You always want some frontline carnivores or some reactionary charging carnivores. That's always great. I'm running a Tyrant, and I want a second one. I think my actual lists are going to involve double Tyrant for a while, because I love the idea of taking up like 48 inches of the field as a no uppy downy deep strike zone. Like, I want to go into a Genestealer cult person and explain to him that he can't put things down that close to a single very large tank. And then we've got 3 Stalkers, 2 of which are going to have Slaughter Claws, 1 of which is going to have the Chainsword. Color palette's also mildly fun because it let's see here, it is fairly blacklight reactive. I've got to update some of them with it though. Yeah, fairly blacklight reactive. Ooh, the Summoners. I'm unfamiliar with the Demon Detachment there. I know the Demon Detachment's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, it's fairly good for the World Eaters. I actually very much enjoy it for Emperor's Children, even though everyone likes Coterie. I actually built a bunch of Demonettes so that I could run Carnival. Haven't really heard much about the Death Guard variant, though. Hopefully you get some good use out of it. And in a similar fashion, I think I came back 2 years ago now. So this is 2 years of work, basically. My Thousand Suns, which is almost fully collected at this point. My Knights, which I probably need 1 or 2 more big Knights to feel comfortable with them. We've got 8 War Dogs. We could always use 2 more. Granted, I need to use, like, 6 more if I want to run the War Dog Lance. Oh, hell yeah, man. Nurglings. Nurglings are a pretty solid, like, I guess, mascot for the Death Guard. I like Brimstones personally. I feel like Brimstones don't get enough probably like respect for being the fun little thing in the army, because they're basically just Nurglings that are made of fire. They love being mischievous. I like the models a bit more because there's always two on every base and they're just like holding hands. So it's just weird looking. Just these two little things of flame just hanging out, holding hands, walking towards you. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Infernal Lance works. Originally, I was going to try to do the updated index. I thought that that would be the best just because of Long Leash. But I really feel like Long Leash just doesn't work alongside kind of what I was hoping to pull off with it. Originally, Long Leash was meant to get my Castigator's ability to Brigands, because Brigands were just really good with the extra AP. But now it just doesn't feel as good, because the whole point was Brigands hit on twos that absolutely needed to change if they were going to drop the points, and I get it. But Brigands hitting on twos, I'd have a Desecrator that would... I think at that point, the Desecrator stayed back. The Desecrator long leashed into the Brigands, giving them rerolls of ones. And then the Castigator would be near the Brigands, giving them sustained ones. So it was hitting on twos, rerolling ones, sustained, with like 18 Gatling gun shots, 2 Meltish. Like, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But now with the Brigand shift, it's like, I gotta work on some stuff. I'm gonna try some things. Favorite unit in general or favorite unit in Knights? Favorite unit in general? In current meta, and just because it's hilarious, since I already kind of felt this way back before the Codex came out for it, Thousand Suns enlightens Zangors with bows and arrow. I already really loved that unit before the big buff they got. Because they got a really big buff. They're super obnoxious. Great at punching up, and they barely cost any points. I'd like that unit to be the Terminators, because I kind of want to run Phalanx, but no matter how much I think about how Terminator statting works, it's just not good. Like, it won't hold stuff in place long enough for it to matter in the current meta. They're just going to be like 1 round worth of, swing at them, kill them, move on. Which kind of sucks. You'd think Terminators wouldn't have that issue. Especially Scarab Occult Terminators in a detachment where they should be doing better with their armor saves. With a bonus that should alter the course of everything by reducing wound rolls by 1. But I don't know, it's just not enough. Like, you can get matched into Death Guard, who was just like, oh, what's the -1 to wound roll? Don't care. Anti-infantry. Here we go. So yeah, it's definitely the Enlightened with bows. Because they don't look like they belong. And then whenever I roll for them in a game, someone realizes that they're actually crazy. It's like, you just roll into a tank and they're just like, oh, it's only 12 shots. It's not going to do much. Next thing you know, like 6 wounds in on a tank, and they just didn't expect it at all. What's up, Francois? Trying to think. So this is going to be in Pariah Nexus, but I'm going to be using the new Knights rules. I don't know if Knights are going to be good enough without leaning into fixed. Is kind of the issue here. I did actually spend most of, I think, Friday painting the purple rubric squad, so I think I have only like 5 or 6 to do for the purple rubrics. And then that leaves us with just the Helldrakes, which honestly I'm not that worried about doing. AQW, any recommendations for someone just starting out after 10 years? Honestly, verify near you, I guess, who's going to play and like where you can go to play. And then if you're 100% looking at a specific thing like 40K, at this point, GW has a lot of small scale modes for anything they have. So if you're like 100%, yeah, 40K, Combat Patrol, figure out a team you actually want to pick up, grab the Combat Patrol and start sort of working in that vein to see if you like the rules, see if you like the list, the general feel of the list, not like the full-blown feel. Past that point, you can kind of collect from there. Depending on what you're getting into, one of the more interesting things you can do is if a company or if a faction's getting like an update or a codex, there'll be a battle box coming out, which is usually a great way to collect if you don't have anything. 5 buddies, 2Ks, and really like Death Guard. If you can find that Death Guard battle box and a Combat Patrol and then maybe the old Combat Patrol, you'd be pretty set, but battle box is going to be a hard sell. Death Guard are considered pretty strong right now. Heavily expect a nerf. Oh, you got the battle box. Do you have the Combat Patrols too? For rules testing, I'd say if your friends all got their Combat Patrols too, try to play a few games of Combat Patrol to get used to some things before going to 2K. Because there's things at the 2K scale you're going to miss in terms of timings and pacings that you can kind of pick up on doing a bunch more small games. Also, texture paste for me, I use golden texture paste. Specifically, I use coarse pumice gel for this. This is coarse pumice. When it dries, it just looks like that. And then I hit it with a contrast paint. Nice. 1K should be able to cover some stuff because there's a new... The mode is now 1K. And then I think people have also told me that there's a variant in the general rules, at least the restrictions, that I want to say Tabletop Tactics put out. One of the YouTube channels put out like alternate rules to add to 1K as a reduction. Like you can't have higher than this toughness or something along those lines. But yeah, once you get used to the rules, once you get used to things you might need on hand, like I don't know, you have the ability to afflict things with Death Guard. So especially from ranged, if you need to track that, you could with like some tokens. Like any of the weird little things, if you don't have it, that help the flow of the game and your memory during a game, just do that. And then, yeah, just play. Don't get too caught up in list building. Like, don't do what a lot of people do, which is they go to Reddit and they try to just stare at, like, the Reddit lists. People will go on Reddit and be like, this guy just won this tournament with this list. And the next thing you know, that's the list you see at every tournament. And then half the people playing it are like, I don't understand why it doesn't win. It's like, no, it does. You just assumed because Reddit said it was good, is that it would be really powerful. End of the day, you got to get good with the rules in general. You have to get very used to the rules, get very used to why certain units are the way they are, and the roles that they can fill in a game. But if you got the battle box, like you said, and at that point, if you can get a Combat Patrol, like the old and the new, I think you're pretty much covered on units for a while. You can then just collect things you're interested in and things you want to push in specific directions to get like the style of play that you want to play, which could be good. Also, if it's just the 5 of you, you could probably lean into narrative. No, yeah. Just on a personal level, if you're going for what you think is cool, if it's not powerful, at least relatively hope that the people you're playing with within your friend group aren't just trying to be like, let me go for the most powerful. Like, there's people like that you run into in the game. We still have a few of them at the store who don't seem to understand that the reason they lose is because they take like 5 of the same unit, or like 5 of the same quality of unit, which is always like tons of wounds, tons of toughness, and like 5 really, or 3 or 4 really good guns, we'll say. Like basically the knights. Like people will play knights just to play like 4 or 5 big knights. And they're like, this will work, right? And then you just outscore them. And they can't kill you fast enough, and it's like turn 5 and you're still just all over the board. And they're like, why am I not killing fast enough? These guns are so powerful. That's not their purpose. But if you can all kind of come to agreements maybe for sort of certain list buildings, maybe interesting narrative ways to play, you could probably run a pretty good crusade if it's a tight-knit group. Like, if it's straight up just 5 people who will be playing a lot together, look into Crusade at some point. I think Crusade could be really fun. The narrative experience for a lot of people is where their memories truly come from for this game, just because you get crazy moments. You get that one unit that needs to hold that area, and then it just does. Against all odds, you roll the 6 4+ invulnerables. And, like, you feel it. Because holding the section gives you, like, all these other benefits, and it just changes the flow of the game. It could be really cool. That's good. Well, hopefully that's good. Because the other issue is if they go what they think is cool and they just can't seem to win a game, because what they think is cool just doesn't really work the way they want, that's when things get weird. End of the day, though, you're rolling dice. You're having a good time. Dice are pretty awesome to just roll out and see what happens. But yeah, it sounds like you got a good group, though. At least from the get-go. If the group stays good, you should have a great time playing. I need to re-gold some of these Terminator capes. But yeah, it's a decent time to get back in. I know the current narrative Crusade information recently came out. So you could probably do something fun with that, or you could just play in general. You know, make sure the terrain feels good. I know there's GW setups for terrain. Like there's a lot of like, use this terrain, this is the most balanced. But like, I don't know. If you're just playing against each other, there's also alternate ideas based on like WTC terrain, which runs a little bit differently. There's player place terrain ideas that could be really interesting for you to try to take into account and add some flavor and replayability to the game with, you know, trying to place certain terrains in certain places. That could be pretty cool. You could even do some of the asymmetric stuff. The new cards that came out, the chapter approved, do have some more narrative card approaches where you could be playing where your army's like in the middle of the field and your opponent can come in from 2 spots on the outside of the field. Like, there can be some fun stuff to lean into. Hell yeah. Lego walls were great. That's what my friends used to do. We also did cardboard boxes. Old cans of soda. It's classic Beer Hammer League. If you guys play and enjoy it enough, you can always look into seeing if there's a decent local league. There's a lot of them, like a lot more than you'd expect. I really should have said something 2 days ago. I was at my local store and there was a person there asking about using the back room for Kill Team with their friends, and I kind of didn't want to just like pop around the corner and be like, "Oh my god, you play Kill Team? Do you want to start up a league here?" Like, I thought that'd be really weird. But now I'm like, I should have at least said hi. I think the main thing is going to be finding the balance of how you guys want to run your terrain. The American GW setups tend to lean a bit more into melee teams. They have a lot of cover for melee to get up. There are some shooting aisles, but like maybe there's just reason for it. Takes away some of the power of the heaviest shooting armies, or at least changes how they have to play, where they have to actually send shooting vehicles up or units to try to bully people, get them out of position. The thing is, I kind of want to, I don't know, for 40k, I do know that there's this general element of play where there's aspects of the game that veterans understand completely, but new players, because it's not explicitly talked about in the rulebook with examples and stuff, people tend to overlook, even though it's technically there. Like, very technically it's in the rulebook and it's telling you how to play. It's just not being explicit about why you would do these things. Like, if you haven't watched the game enough, you probably wouldn't know the 1 inch off the wall rule for anti-melee. You'd probably assume maybe there's something there that, you know, kind of prevents people from being on the other side of a wall and just not get into combat. But no, that's the thing. There's an element in the game where they want you to be able to place people behind a wall in a way where they cannot be charged. Not easily, at least. The enemy would have to go entirely around the wall to get to you. So, I just wish I knew if there was a video out there or a series. If not, I'm going to have to make one, I guess. That goes into kind of like the minute details of understanding the raw rules and what they could mean for things you can kind of abuse and take advantage of to irk out victories. Because it's important, I think. Well, key thing to getting better at the game and your army is to always, you know, focus on your army, your list. Like, don't just jump around because you don't like something. I think a lot of people get the wrong opinion of being like, oh, my list doesn't work because, you know, the Tau shot it off the board. I'm just going to play Tau because I always lose the Tau. obviously Tao's really good. When that's, you know... Nubby's Number Factory. Let's see. I'm okay with the Ruinator. But beyond that, Phoenix, there's... I think Vanguard Tactics is a channel that goes over the kind of bare bones basics to let you understand at least a little bit of how to focus on scoring in the game. Because that's a big thing, is to focus on scoring. There's a level in the game for a lot of people of bloodlust where they really want to just be rolling dice and, you know, that's it. And if that's what you want to do, I mean, you kind of have to, like, write off getting better at the game and just go for rolls and see if you can swing a victory that way. There's a few people at the store that do that right now, where their key interest is just, you know, rolling dice and seeing what happens. But a lot of the big games, like the major tournament games I watch, man, scoring is primary to the point where I don't think people roll dice really to attack each other for like the first 2 turns usually. It's all just position, posturing, and hoping your side missions work out. Once you start getting used to your army's general rules and kind of some of the squads that it has access to, you start to play the game where instead of just being like, here's a list of a bunch of people I think have good guns and movement, you're instead looking at it from the perspective of, well, what missions do I need to complete? What are the current missions that are running that I need to think about? Containment, which I think is gone now. The new version of Recover Assets, how sabotage works, all that stuff. You go, well, okay, look, what do I have for that? I know I don't have these cheap fodder units because I don't like them because their guns aren't good, but they do come with like infiltrate or faster maneuverability through walls, and you know, they're so cheap that for one of my really good units that I could take like 3 of these, and then I'll have 3 units to run around and do all these side missions and block areas, and you know, it could be kind of cool. It'll be better for screening. Once you get to that stage mentally of adapting your list to feel like it's more representative of the competitive game, I think like that's really when you've hit that next level beyond just like playing units and trying to get your rules down. But the getting your rules down thing should be paramount. So like, don't assume you're going to just start winning right away. I've only recently started getting victories at Rogue Trader tournaments. Not a lot, because I keep doing dumb things. Which is, you know, building a list a week before the tournament out of an army that I've never played in the current rule sets. Cough, cough. Chaos Knights. Cough, cough. I really should have just kept going Mutation Herd. I love Mutation Herd, and my adjustment to it feels really strong. But if this tournament is anything this time around like it was before, I want to be able to play quickly, and that is Knights. Definitely don't pay attention too much as well to what people online talk about in terms of like, oh, this is meta. Like, what seems to happen pretty consistently is someone goes like, this is the new meta, this is the new strong, and then a major GT comes and goes, or rather a bunch of major GTs come and go, and that's not the list that wins. It's like all these random lists from teams everyone's thinking aren't that good, but they're just good in the right hands is all. That's something I've really got to pay attention to with this Knights list. Like, just because someone puts an enemy unit within range of one of my, like, carnivores to be able to get to, if I don't have a card that is straight up just like, yeah, go kill this unit, it might not be worth it. There is a level to the game of just avoiding combat could be just as useful as always going for combat. I still got to figure out how to deal with heavy indirect armies that have good indirect, which good indirect should be coming from Mortarian's Hammer, I believe, from Death Guard. And then I keep hearing really good things about the indirect potential from Imperial Guard. So we'll have to see. That's definitely a core of it. Something I've heard from some of the better players in our local area is that if you can build a list that doesn't care about what your opponent's list is, it has its own plan, and your opponent can't really counter it that well. That seems to be the way to really want to aim to play. Yo, if you can get that Chaos Knights battle box, is it not sold out yet? Like, do you have access to it still? Because what is that? That's 9? That puts you at 4 away from the War Dog Lance. You're gonna need to snag that soon from your local. If that local store isn't smart enough to go, maybe we should scalp this. Because holy God, that's going to be crazy. It's so many nights, man. I kind of want to try to run a War Dog Lance. Oh, I'm playing them, just feeling a bit lost. Oh, okay. You could look towards other people that do play armies. Like, I'm not saying, like, don't look at them at all. But, like, what kind of EC are you trying to play? EC is very limited right now in terms of units, which could be good, could be bad. It depends on how you approach the game. You won't be able to adapt to too many different army lists. But that usually also means a lot of the Emperor's Children models are, like, top tier for all of the functionality that they have. Like, our Demon Princes with Wings, because I play EC. I play EC pretty heavily. I'm just not playing them right now, because I kind of want to play Knights and Thousand Suns for a bit. It's one of my rotationary armies, is how we'll put it. But for EC, you can look around. Coterie, a lot of people pick up. But a lot of the methodology to Coterie can be applied elsewhere. It's just Coterie does have a lot of strength to it. in that later on in the game you're just really powerful. Like, just overly powerful. I do like Mercurial. I play Carnival. And there's a lot to be said about the Peerless Bladesman. And if you have enough vehicles for it, specifically transports, I honestly think there is incredible value in the transport detachment. I'm not sure if you want to buy into large scale. 40k, most elite army in the game, and point and stick with KT. I mean, yeah, you can stick to KT. Knights aren't. I mean, knights are going to be expensive regardless, because like a big knight is $200 about, and you're going to want a couple of them. War Dogs, I think, is a box of War Dogs 90 US right now? I think it is. And you need a bunch of those. I will say that knights get super swingy in terms of whether or not they're useful in competitive play, just because people adapt to the changes in the durability and they try to find ways around knights. I think the toughness change, though, is good because it opens up a lot of other armies to be okay into that toughness. Like, I actually feel a lot better about using my Noise Marines into knights. A lot better. It makes me not so worried about having to build specific paths. But yeah, KT, if you have a good KT community local to you, you could stick with that. That's not even an issue. You can get your variants out of just buying a single squad of something else and playing it. It's certainly not cheap. It's definitely cheaper. By a long shot. I wonder if I should put out feelers for a practice game on Wednesday. Hey, Arch, you can dabble in knights if you want. I mean, if you're already pretty established with the kill team stuff you have access to, you could slowly build into knights. If you really want to try it out. Like, always go with what's cool. Like, that's step one, because knights can be strong, knights can be weak. It's the same with every other army. And if you have it just on your shelf and good to go, then you got it. You're good to go. You've been playing Peerless. I hear Peerless is decent. I know everyone goes coterie for like their own reasons, but Peerless having access to lethal, I think lethal or sustain just right out the box, isn't that bad. I play Carnival. I think I need one more Land Raider to want to play the transport detachment. And honestly, if you're playing a lot of kill team, going a hyper elite army like Knights, something might click with you. Weirdly, in my Knights games, I feel better about my decision making. Just because I have so few units on the field, and like, it's less to really think about in terms of, oh, if I position here, I have to like worry about these 5 things running up or something. You can kind of just like do whatever. And my mind really looks at all the aspects on the field as a little bit closer to like how kill teams plus minus system of like, if I put my guy here, it's like 80% chance he dies just based on looking around. And I have less of that in Warhammer with larger models or like larger scale armies, because I'm just not sure who's gonna dump what into where and why. But if you have Knights, it's like, well, the only thing they could go for is my Carnivore, and I'm okay with losing it if it puts this many units out of position. It just feels fine. Oh, we're so close. Thankfully, all my Knights are ready for tournament play. But I gotta remember, it's leadership checks, right? I gotta look it up again. It's leadership checks. Key things to my Knight list is the empowerment. I can only do it easily without the cost of command points in my command phase. Empowerment lasts until my next command phase, so I can do it, then hold on to it if I want. And then at any point in time in any other phase, I can spend a command point to re-empower a unit. I think at top of phases. I gotta figure out the timings for that, because that's going to be important. Empowerment is a very interesting function. It's like advanced dark pacting. It does feel a little Zinchi. I really wished the Blue Horrors had a points drop in the Demon Detachment. Because I want to run 2 Blue Horror squads and a Kairos in my Knights army, just to do it. Alas, you can only run 1 Blue Horror, 1 Kairos. I just think it'd be hilarious to have like a Vect Aura running around the field being obnoxious. Meanwhile, you've got a Tyrant on the back running around with an anti-deep strike field. It's going to be a crazy, man. Also, there looks like there's a Vector in one of the detachments as an upgrade. I think it was the one that involves 6 large knights, or between 5 and 6 large knights. Drastic increases to command point costs. As well, Kairos gives you access, I think, as an ally to +1 command point per turn. So long as he's on the field. What pinged you? Magnetizing kits for knights, super easy. It's probably one of the easiest things in the world. Here. So, with this is perfectly sized for the magnet I put into it. And then I just cut. There's usually like a cork that comes down and goes in 2 different directions here. I just cut that cork off and just replaced it with the exact same size magnet dead center. Ta-da! The only one that I thought was like a little bit extra. I had to buy these really tiny magnets so I can do this one. Literally the easiest magnetization on the War Dogs. But I think the War Dog box, and you're going to need to double check this if this is something you might be worried about, the War Dog box might only allow you to build the ones that they show you on the front. So technically magnetizing won't really matter. It could still be useful because if you purchase other boxes of armigers, or because I think you need armigers at that point, you're not going to have access to executioners. I know that. I think you have access to just about everything else, though, except for meltas on the tops of the vehicles. Unless they did something where they put executioners in the box. What does it look like? Yeah, it's all stalkers, brigands, and carnivores, which means there's no executioner parts and there's no hood mount meltaguns. Since there's no hood mount meltaguns, you can't go that route, which normally you don't. You usually just go missile launchers. That's perfectly fine. You'll have access to most of the weaponry variants, though. But I'm pretty sure all the parts in the box, like I said, it's you get just enough to make those. You're not going to get enough to rotate between a bunch of different options. Which certainly sucks in its own right. But they had to get the cost down somehow. I mean, if you're not going to play it at a store, sure. Or in tournament play. Like, I get the 3D printing culture thing, but, like, you kind of also have to assume if that's all you're doing, then, like, there is going to be a limit to the distance, I guess it goes. Because even, like, some local game stores are starting to figure out that they don't like the scene. Because it's becoming this nuisance to a lot of people in that situation. Like, if it's just people playing among themselves, it's whatever. I mean, you're not going to stop that regardless. There's pictures of people overseas, like people in the army overseas playing games of Warhammer with blocks of wood with things written on them. It is what it is. But, like, hobby shops are starting to realize that the 3D print community is straight up just, like, getting kind of weirdly toxic in storefronts. Like, that's the kind of people who show up to the store and will tell other people in the store to be like, don't buy here. Just get it 3D printed. And then just come in here and play. It's like, that's weird. That is an awkward thing to do. It is kind of crazy, though. Separating hobby stuff from life stuff seems to just be the norm. The assumption that hobbies should just kind of be chill. Having a printer, though, and then buying those War Dogs, I can guarantee you'll find STLs somewhere for interesting upgrades visually. Like attachable components that's like, oh, glue this back here. You'll have like a ton of extra pipes on your back or something. As well I know, because I've actually purchased some. I know that a lot of the weapons components that not every box comes with is usually printable. And this seems to be like, in some people's opinions, okay, just because if I want to run an executioner for a war dog, I want the war dog body, but I want to run the executioner arms. The only way you can do that is by buying a box of armigers, getting the autocannons out of it, and then throwing all the other stuff away, and then just buying war dogs beyond that point. So to a degree, and it's been pretty good. I actually, for the Questoris sized knight, and even the war dogs, right? My war dogs, these missile racks, I had to buy more so that they could all have missile racks because they didn't at one point. So there's a variant of this that I have that has some more spikes on the front and back. That's a 3D printed version. I know people in the store who wanted autocannons but didn't want to buy armigers, so they have the autocannons, which this whole component here is flawlessly designed for the 3D print to work. So it's just, you know, it's the right size, it's the right shape, it has some different visual variances, and that's all. So getting the body could allow you to 3D print the weapons and then other cool, like, fun stuff to attach to it. But the Abominant box that I bought only had a variant of the Questoris Despoiler that involved one Gatling cannon, one battle cannon. And I wanted 2 Gatling cannons, 2 battle cannons for it. So I actually had to buy them. Although now that I'm debating buying another Abominant box, I'll just have access to it anyway. I'm so torn. I've got $75 gift card at my local store. It's either going to become a Predator for my Thousand Sons. It's going to go towards a Tyrant or the new Knight box, because I do want another Abominant. And getting a Ruinator on top of it's fine. I was actually kind of worried about the price. I went online to see what the pricing was, and I think I got like the wrong website, like the wrong geolocation on my website. It had the dollar symbol, but it was like $280. It was just straight up $280 for the new Knight. And I knew the old Knight was like $200, close to that. It was crazy in my head. I was like, oh, I don't know why that's going on. I need to get the old one, I guess. But it's actually only $4 more. Which is fine. It's fine. I'll get the new one. Maybe he'll be useful. It's the only way to make brigands good. I'm going to need one of those knights to just be long leashing all my brigands. So, okay, approach of the game. I think general game plan is still, if my opponent is really good at shooting, turn 1. When does this happen? Timing is very important here. I think my Huntsman sits in reserve, if I'm being real. I don't really want to put my Huntsman forward. He needs to be a threat from a table edge where he can just pop out and melt a gun something, probably from Rapid Ingress. in my command phase is when Malefic Surge happens. When does picking this happen? Each unit from your army gains ability depending on which blah blah. For your army from the start of the battle. In addition, at the start of the first, third, so start of the battle rounds, not start of my turns. Literally the moment we go into first is when I pick my first function. I have access to an extra -1 to leadership. I have access to battle shocked units will have +1 to wound when I shoot them. -1 to hit outside of 18-inch range. Must take battle shock if below starting strength. If below half strength, take D3 mortals if you fail battle shock. I don't think anyone's really going to use that. Not over on YouTube, Steel. I got to figure out what I want to do about that. It's on Twitch, though. I got to figure out if there's something I can do on YouTube where I just run like a very specific playlist. That way you guys can sit there and listen to it. And then add 3-inch range to the model's aura. I feel like my general path is -1 to hit. Take battle shock below starting strength. +3 to aura. Because turn 5 +3 to aura. Maybe. +3 to aura and then turn 5. Maybe not. I don't know. I've got a good front line, so I should be in people's faces. Maybe it just becomes a -2 or something, so that turn 5's harder for them to hold stuff and more stuff gets battle shocked. In the shooting phase, I can 4+ invuln. I can only empower with the command point at the end of any phase. For 1 command point, I can force a battle shock test at the end of the shooting phase. Or at the end of the shot sequence, but I have to select before the shooting sequence. What's cool is I can apply to 1 Chaos Knight ignores cover. So if at the back of the field, if my tyrant sees a bunch of stuff on the field and I'm like, I'm gonna split fire here a little, I could just ignore cover for all of it. The cannon on the back, the 2 Geist strikes, the volcano cannon, the plasma cannon, melt-a-guns if something's close enough. I don't have any interesting movement phase functions. I do have sticky. It's a command point sticky with this faction. But that's still pretty good, because technically I can place my tyrant either on my back point and sticky it if I need to. Or I can position it differently and then maybe put, I don't know, one of my stalkers on a back line. Just as long as something's standing on my backline objective, I could drop sticky on it. And then the hope and the dream is that my castigator really just kicks some ass. I feel like the few games I've won as Knights, I usually give up my castigator like right away, and then I just capitalize on all the stuff that had to get moved forward to kill it. It's just a weird way to play, though. Still not 100% on my game plan. Tyrant definitely sits backline screen. I feel like my two other big knights have to pick either one or the other of the expansions. Maybe I do have a stalker that kind of hangs out on his own side, and then the two other stalkers follow the castigator. The Abominant has to be frontline. Like, he's got to just go through a wall and screw with some people. Ugh, my eyes are kind of burny. Did a gaming weekend at my friend's house again, or rather, like 2 days, sort of. We're trying to play through Mice and Mystics. It's been months since we finished the last chapter that we were on, and it's like, having to remember all those rules just out of nowhere. Like, you really have to do it fresh. The last chapter we played was hyper confusing too. Normally the chapters are very good about being like, all right, you start in this room, here's the rules for that room. Then you move to this room, so here's the rules for that room. But what we just got into consisted of straight up like, start in this room, here's the rules, and then we're going to tell you the rules about a room that you're going to be at in like 2 or 3 rooms. Like, not, it's just not the next room. And it confused the hell out of us because we were like, wait, how do we get to that room? What are we supposed to, like, go through here? Is this how this works? The whole time it was, nope. Like, we were doing it kind of right the first time. Only to get sort of screwed. I doubt I'm ever using this many Terminators. Putting in so much work for a squad I'm probably never going to use. Raveners look cool, though. I do enjoy the Typhon box. Personally not getting it because timing is everything, and the fact that they were like, hey, everyone, Chaos Knights. New Codex, here it is. Kind of threw me off my game of wanting to get Typhon just to get some Kill Team stuff. I was actually at my local store playing a game when the Typhon box went up for pre-order, and then immediately went out of pre-order 1.5 minutes later. Like, that thing was gone. The last time I was in that store, too, I was talking to some people about it, and they were like, oh, I'll just wait to get it when it comes into the store. It's like, I don't know, man. I know they've been working really hard to try to have 2 different allocations. They seem to want to allocate, you know, they have like a limited number for pre-order. After that pre-order gets hit, they seem to want to allocate to stores, both like LGSs as well as Warhammer stores, because they do want people to want to go out there. I still think the NID team should have been Shrikes, but it's good to see Raveners. Like, consider this is an elite team. Like, this is hyper elite. This is a 5-man unit. I think Shrikes could have been a 5-man unit. But the timing's impeccable with the release of the Burrower detachment alongside Typhon. They knew what they were doing. 100% they knew what they were doing. It will be interesting, though, because the Raveners have an insanely safe way of attacking people. I think the main thing with Raveners is whether or not you can solve where all of your burrows are supposed to go, when, and why. That's going to be the big thing. I wonder how good the Burrower list is going to be. It'll probably be fun in just narrative play. But I feel like in competitive play, it's just going to take maybe one guy with a minus 12 to coming in from reserve, and it just ruins all of your stuff. Oh yeah, the terrain's great. Terrain is fantastic. It's good to see Xenos terrain. Like, you just don't see enough of it. Like, we got these. And then, like, outside of that, like, what? You get, like, a tide wall from the Tau. You get your webway portal. We're going to be down to 4 more Terminators. It's like 4 Terminators and 6 Rubrics. That'll probably be the prime time to decide my next thing. I am very much leaning into another Tyrant. I kind of want to see how my Tyrant having 13 toughness is going to work out. I know he's on the back line, though, so it's not as big of a deal, but the moment he reveals himself, so long as I can kind of mitigate the return fire that he could get hit with, I'll be happy.
Poggers.
Poggers. Moe's Magic. I'm also a fan of Magic. Space Wizard Magic. Ugh. Quick little 2-hour stream. We've got at least a few more this week we need to do. Monday probably we'll hit one up later in the day. Because we're so close to being done, man. There's a chance I'm going to do some of this off stream, but I got to get some food in me. I do need to figure out something I can do to run audio, like a general song list or something over on YouTube, so you guys can have at least a little bit of music when I'm, you know, zoned out and just staring at stuff. But man, these nights. I'm gonna have to make flashcards or something. I don't know. I mean, Papa Nurgle loves you. That's how it works. I'm kind of excited. Once this tournament's over, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got so many lists now to focus on. I kind of want to try Phalanx. I love Mutant. I kind of want to try Vehicle Thousand Suns. I kind of want to test out my new Soulforged. So much going on. Yeah, that's what I suggest. I mean, if you're chilling in YouTube, definitely grab your own tunes. Not everyone's going to like my music for, you know, hanging out and hobbying. I'm leaning very heavily towards another Tyrant for the next project. We'll have to see. We'll see if we go that route. Either way, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling on this little short notice Sunday stream. We don't normally stream on Sundays. But I just got back from helping my dad build a wall, basically, in his basement. So needed to chill for a bit. No, I'm not doing any more new armies. I think I'm done on that. Unless Votan do look really interesting to me. Well, until I make that bad financial decision later, everyone.